Welcome back. My name is Kit.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Things, streaming When Harry Met Sally from 1989.
Oh, When Harry Met Sally, I remember it well.
That was the day that I went to Cat's Delicatessen.
I ordered the pastrami. Yes.
And some mustard. Boy.
You been to Cat's Deli?
I have.
It's a delicious place, right?
Excellent.
Yeah.
They don't have, I don't recall a waiter situation like that. Maybe there was.
No, it's completely different. At least now it's completely different. It's
true. It might not have been
intimidating now because you
yeah.
you have to wait, an hour in line outside. You get in there, you're like, here's a ticket. Don't lose this fucking ticket. If you lose this ticket, we will charge you $50 per ticket. And then you wait, you order the different sections.
Here's a photo of Danny Glover eating here while you wait.
Yeah. And you
lives
will
right across the street. I remember that. I was walking with somebody. They're like, Danny Glover lives right there. That's his window.
And he was looking right outside.
He's like, I'm too old for this shit.
I'm too old for this shit. I used to go to Cat's Deli all the time. I can't do it anymore because I'm too old for this shit. I'm talking about pastrami.
Yeah, it's bad for my colon.
Yeah, and Cat's Deli has that, that sign that says, this is the booth that they filmed When Harry Met Sally in.
Well, I mean, there's so much history celebrities there. I mean, it's ridiculous how many people eat there.
I mean, that deli's from before the Civil War or something like that. There's so much history to that place.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Been there a few times. Very delicious. Love it so much. Big pastrami fan. Few people know this about me. They say, hey, Kit, how do you feel about pastrami? And I'm like, hey, it's documented. Big fan.
I remember the first time I went to New York, in the lead up to going to New York City. I'd never been. I was going for work. And my boss was like, okay, here's the plan. We're going to fly to New York City. We're going to land. First thing we do, we get in an Uber. We drive to the actual city. Then we go to Katz's Deli for lunch. Here's a YouTube video. You need to school yourself on how you order at Katz's Deli because I don't want to be embarrassed because you don't know the system.
Fucking tourist.
And so I legit had so much anxiety about ordering at this restaurant. And it went well.
Then you got your pastrami?
Oh, yeah. It was amazing. It was to die for.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Cat's Deli. I'm glad you brought it up because it's, obviously a crucial moment in the movie.
Right.
The most famous moment in the movie, but also just a delicious place to dine.
Yeah.
If you're in New York at any point.
Definitely an experience. You should definitely have.
For sure. But this movie is one of the last of of this form of chosen film.
Yes.
We still will have chosen films on Patreon. It'll look a bit different. I know we've been teasing you. We've been tickling you for a while now. It's about to be dropped.
Yeah. If you go into patreon.com/streaming things, you can see the whole entire breakdown of what our new patron tiers are starting in June. And one of the levels is you put your name in a pool and we will randomly draw your name and pick your movie and do a movie.
Maybe we could do like a little hat thing.
Yeah. The way I pictured it, I thought this would be fun. We're kind of vamping live right now, but I thought this would be fun where we would record ourselves pulling the movie, drawing them.
That's what I'm saying.
And then we react like, oh my gosh, we're watching When Harry Met Sally next month. Stay tuned.
But we wouldn't do that one because we're doing that now.
Right. Yeah.
Bad example.
Just an example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of a movie. But this movie.
Yeah, this movie
was chosen by whom?
Joe Velez.
Joey V?
Joe V.
I like to imagine he goes by Joey V on the streets.
On the streets?
Yeah, and he's wanted in 6 states.
Maybe.
But he stopped. He's like, you know what? I'm not even going to use a fake name. I want everybody to know that I love this movie, written by Nora Ephron, directed by Rob Reiner. And now
that's what they're saying on the streets.
People are going to find him. Like he's in witness protection, WITSEC, and
like the mafia is going around like, hey, I'm looking for a guy.
Yeah.
He's about, 5'3". He's really big into the movie.
Why is he so
When
short?
Harry Met Sally.
Why is Joey V so short?
I don't know. I just threw out numbers.
Short king. He's what you would call a short king. Okay. Now he loves rom-coms, classics, the classics.
Classic.
He's a big fan. And we see him at Cat's Deli all the time, pretending he was ejaculating.
Have you seen someone who fits that description? Someone who would go to Cat's Deli pretending to be ejaculating because he loves the movie When Harry Met Sally so much.
The male version of Meg Ryan's iconic scene would be disgusting.
Yes.
They would be escorted out, arrested, and just pretending, just Spider-Manning everywhere.
Pastrami.
and then lighting a cigarette.
And then they just fall asleep at the booth.
I'll have what he's having.
It's a much shorter display.
Yeah, I guess it's because men
I'll
don't
have what
fake
that
orgasms.
guy's having.
Yeah, and it looks delicious. he fucking came everywhere. Give me that.
Holy man alive. Did you see that?
But anyway, we found Joey V because we were listening to streaming things as we do.
Sorry to out you, Joe V. Joey V. Joe Velez.
Yeah. I got to give him his complete name. Just in case.
Here's his address.
Yeah. But anyway, that's how we came upon When Harry Met Sally as the episode for today. Again, go to patreon.com/streaming things if you can support this show. If not, totally understandable. A lot of things going on in the world. A lot of people struggling. We would never want to cause you extra financial hardship. You can rate and review the show, share it around to your friends on social media. That's helpful as well. Or just by listening to this, that's helpful. So thank you for being here. Very soon. As far as soon as next week. We haven't told them the thing yet.
We haven't.
Should we tell them the thing?
Let's tell them the thing next week.
Yeah, next week we're starting pre-coverage for The Boys, season 4. We've been telling you that. Right after that and during will also be House of the Dragon. We'll do a recap for season 1 with some special guests and then dive right into House of the Dragon season 2 for June. However, next week we're also starting our coverage, finally, the much demanded thing, Game of Thrones. Season 1, episode 1 will drop next week. 90% of you have been very excited and frothing at the mouth for this. 10% of you been on the please don't train.
Please don't. But don't worry for those of you who are on that please don't train. We're going to have a bunch of other content you can
absolutely
ingest and love and enjoy.
But here's the thing about Game of Thrones. You might think this is a dirty thing, but this is just, it's not. There's a reason. A little behind, there's some inside baseball for this. But we will do season 1, episode 1. And then after that, our Game of Thrones breakdown will be Patreon only.
Yes.
So we'll do every episode of season 1. After the first one, they will only be on Patreon. And then maybe some years from now, say Steve, I don't know, it's just a horrible sex accident and he can't record.
Sounds like me.
Yeah. Then we could just drop all of
I tried to do the Eiffel Tower and I failed. I fell too far.
He did the Tower of Pisa.
He failed.
That's the plan. So, and if we get it'll be tough to judge the matrix. Yeah, that is tough. The metrics on that to see if it warrants a season 2, season 3, season 4, so on. I guess we're going to judge, by patrons added or whatever to see if that's working. But that's the plan because we really, really love Game of Thrones. We want to talk about it, but we don't know for sure if people care enough to be on the main feed. So that's what we're going to do, though. All of Game of Thrones while we're doing The Boys and House of the Dragon. I feel like I'm in Cat's Deli right now because I'm excited.
You're coming.
Yes. Thank you. Just pulling that fruit a little lower for everybody.
Yes. Yes.
This is Kit's reaction to Game of Thrones being played.
I love that that's on the soundboard, and I'm so sorry for anyone at for anybody that's at a red light right now, just trying to listen to a podcast and not look like a creep.
I hope your windows are rolled down.
Somebody just got fired. So that's super exciting for June. We hope you guys stick around for that and get excited as well. Email the show at streamingthingspod@gmail.com with any feedback. And I think that's all the business news for right now, except for tickets for the live show will be on sale soon. That's October 5th in Cincinnati. Start getting your tickets, your Airbnbs, your hotels, whatever. Hostels. Do we have those?
I don't know.
Probably not after that movie came out.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Not a good look.
Yeah. But be excited for that. I do want to say sorry to everyone listening at home. I do have an incredibly awful sinus infection and I feel terrible. So you might hear me, the cadence of my voice is a little different, but I also might sniffle a little bit. And I'm sorry for anyone with ears.
Yeah, all of you with ears.
Yeah.
Sorry. But When Harry Met Sally, let's talk about our overall thoughts on the film, what it was like watching it this time, our history with the film, do the huge, and then we'll do a scene-by-scene, play-by-play breakdown of this modern, I don't know if it's a modern classic anymore. It might just be a classic. I'm not sure. I don't know what the time limit on that is.
I think I would consider this a classic.
Just a straight-up classic.
Just a classic.
Yeah, I was 1.
I was
2.
Around the same, yeah.
You've been slightly older.
Slightly
I was going to point out you're slightly older than me.
Yeah,
You will die.
You went to the theater and saw this, Steve.
You will die slightly before I do.
Well, God, I hope.
Because you don't want to live without me.
Yeah, I need to go first. We actually, if there's a deleted scene of this movie where it's the two of us talking about how we first met. And
That's
fell in
true.
love. Yeah,
it's just us talking about Kenzie.
Yeah.
So he had his dick
And then,
in a Crown Royal bag.
Get this, and he asked me if I wanted a shot of it, and I do. Right there.
That's honestly how some of those stories go.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
they're that gross and toxic.
Yeah.
Like, it was an arranged marriage. You know, she had no choice. And I snuck over a couple villages and had a peek at her. And her,
Because I needed to know if she was ugly or not.
you know, I just saw her cheeks flapping in the wind and thought I could clap those for the rest of my life. And she's
Sure.
just sitting there silently nodding like, yep, that's what he said.
I have a say in this relationship for 50 years.
It's wild, dude.
Yeah.
Every time it does those, my notes are old people yapping
Oh, people be yapping.
every single time.
Some of them are cute. Some of them are
Yeah.
like, some of the, like you said, some are a little like, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I hope it works for
Yeah.
him.
I hope that's enjoyable for both people.
Well, apparently all of those are stories that Rob Reiner had collected, like interviewed people or collect like some people. I don't know
Just for
exactly
fun?
how he got them. Like he got stories of older couples explaining how they got together, and then they hired actors to relay those stories.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So all those people are acting, but they're recounting real stories that was sent into
Interesting.
him. Yeah.
That is fascinating. Some of them didn't seem like actors, so they did they're either great actors
Yeah.
or so bad that it looked more real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what's your history with When Harry Met Sally? And what was it like rewatching it for Joey V?
So I actually don't have that much of a history with this movie. I know I've seen this movie at some point in my life. Like I know for sure I have seen this movie, but when I sat down to watch it, I was kind of like, I don't really have any memory of it. Of course, I remember the diner scene because that's just kind of one of those scenes that kind of permeates.
You don't even have
into
to watch the movie
zeitgeist.
to know that scene.
Yeah, everyone has seen that scene, and you haven't even seen the movie. But I have a specific memory of that scene. I have a specific memory of them at the, I think it's an art gallery where he's like, I would like to taste your pecan pie, like that whole thing. But, a lot of the other things in this movie, I completely had forgotten about. Like, I didn't remember how they actually met. I didn't remember, I remember the New Year's scene when they get together, but I forgot a lot of this movie. So sitting down earlier this week and watching it was an absolute blast. It was like watching a movie for the first time again because I remembered nothing about it. I am a huge fan of movies. They made these type of movies back in the 70s, 80s. They don't make them a lot anymore, but I love movies that are more, they're formatted more like stage plays where it's just really great dialogue and people talking. And maybe they're at a restaurant. Maybe they're walking down the street. Maybe the point isn't necessarily like what they're doing, it's what they're saying. And I just love how that sort of stuff plays out. I like movies like that. And this is that type of movie. Even the scene where Harry, Sally, Mary, and Jess are all on the phone together, and there's that like split screen between them all.
Yeah.
Like even that you can see being performed on a stage in a play form. But I just love movies like that. And the leads are really funny. I forgot that Carrie Fisher was in this movie. So when she popped up, I was like, oh,
I
Queen,
did too.
Queen,
Yeah.
look at you. I love you so much.
Just a mere 5 years after Return of the Jedi,
Yeah.
5, 6.
And it was just a really fun time. I mean, these characters are really snappy. I remember in the beginning when I sat down and started watching this, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how much of a creep Billy Crystal is in this movie. But then by the end of the movie, he like that character.
It's actually just accurate, like, like a piece of shit when you're young and you have silly worldviews.
And then by the time he's older, when they're in their mid-30s, he's just like, he's come around, he's grown up. And, when he gets divorced, he starts off as this cocky guy and he gets divorced and it wrecks him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, someone who's recently divorced, that's so accurate. Like there's a point where he's like, well, I went on a date and then she went to the school. Oh, did Helen go to that school? No, she went to another school. But
It's part of the Big Ten.
It's part of the Big Ten. And just he's like that 1,000-yard stare, like the way he's watching TV, talking to her on the phone. Like, yeah, I remember those days. I remember them
I'll probably
well.
just moan all night.
So accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So accurate. But and then Meg Ryan is just absolutely adorable and just full of zest in this movie and so fun. And watching them sort of like the progression of their relationship is so organic and natural. And so by the end, when they're not by the end, but like towards like the middle of the movie, when they're like best friends, like you feel that chemistry between them. They feel like old friends, even though at this point in the movie, they're not quite old friends, but they have that natural chemistry as actors together. And that's what makes the movie work so well, I think. But I love it. I love this movie a lot. I think it's great. And it's, oh my gosh, it's like an hour and a half long. Oh, we as a culture, we're failing. We can't make hour and a half long movies that are this good anymore. We just can't. It's impossible.
A balm for the soul.
It was, as someone who's been working 16-hour days nonstop this whole week, and it's had like a terrible sinus infection. My entire lower half of my body is sore because I've been running around college universities filming shit.
All of it?
It's all of it. All the shit. As someone who is in constant pain and sick and tired, when I sat down and saw this was only 90 minutes long, I did the whole thing. I did.
Yes! Yes!
That was me.
Yes!
That's going to make me laugh every time.
Every time.
Let's keep that on the soundboard.
Yeah.
So nobody can ever listen to this show in public.
No.
Comfortably. Which honestly, if you're a longtime fan of the show, or even like the last few episodes, and you had this blaring in public, that's on you.
That's on you. Really. I mean, you know what you're getting.
Oh, do they?
Well, maybe someone will listen to them in their car, or like another person will, and they'll think,
I'll have what she's having.
you know, maybe.
Yeah. I want that pod. Yeah. I love this movie too. This might be a 5-star. This might be perfect. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. Didn't understand anything when I was a kid, I would imagine. I don't have any like reference point. I still don't.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. I don't date. I've never really dated. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
And so a lot of this movie kind of hinges on like the misery of being single and, you know, going out with strangers and having dinner and the small talk and finding out if you have a connection. I've only had Sallies, you know what I mean? Like friends that I've known for years that, why aren't we dating? You know what I mean? Kind of thing. That's all I've ever done. So for the most part, I'm just kind of fascinated by the idea of like living in a big city and just going out with different people and having dinner. And that was kind of a weird conversation. I'm not going to call them anymore. Like, it's just not a thing I've ever done. It sounds awful. I can get with that.
It is awful. I mean, Carrie Fisher has that one line to Jess halfway through, like, please don't send me out there ever again.
Please tell me I'm never going to have to do that ever again. Yeah, exactly. But I think that the dialogue in this movie, though, and Billy Crystal is phenomenal. And he's not, it sounds weird, but he's not somebody I think about a lot, even though I grew up with him.
Same, actually.
Like, in my adult years, I'm never like, God, I'm going to pop on City Slickers. You know, like it just never occurs to me. But watching this, you realize why he was so big in the 90s, because it's like, he's got it. He's got the thing, you know?
He's got that it factor for sure.
Meg Ryan, I get it. And Nora Ephron, she went on a tear. I mean, she did this, Sleepless in Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
You've Got Mail. And then Bewitched, you know, we haven't heard much after that, but what a big deal. What a 1, 2, 3 punch.
I mean, if those are the movies you like consistently put out for like a good, what is it, like 10 years or so?
Yeah.
Like, do you ever need to work again?
No.
Can you just like rest on your laurels at that point? Like,
Fiscally,
I've saved romance. You're welcome, America.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. It was just the epitome of rom-coms during this period of our history. They don't really make them like this anymore, to be quite honest. They're kind of coming back. People are like yearning for them.
I'm going to be honest with you, Kit. I am a sucker for a good rom-com.
Oh, for sure.
What was that Jennifer Lopez, Owen Wilson movie that came out like a couple years ago? And I was like, I watched that this weekend and I loved it.
I don't know.
It's a terrible rom-com.
I don't know. But I loved it. Like Anyone But You, I watched twice. Sydney Sweeney, Glenn Powell. Yeah.
Is that the movie where are they brother and sister?
No.
There was like a whole thing when the first trailer came out. People were like, so like, what's the deal?
No.
Are they brother and sister? What's going on?
They have a one night stand-ish kind of thing. It's not even that. And then there's a misunderstanding and they hate each other. And then like years later, they run into each other and their friends are getting married. So they have to go to a wedding together in Australia. And that's the basis for the movie.
Okay.
So they hate each other. They have a history. But it's also, it's a Shakespeare play that's adapted for the modern age is what it's not advertised like that, which is weird, but it is just a straight up.
So it's like The Taming of the Shrew was 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that. So it's really fun. I enjoy it. Anyway, this isn't a pod about anyone but you, but it's but that's like the most recent straight up rom-com. There's been a few. The idea of You with Anne Hathaway, that's not really, it's based on a book that's basically fan fiction, but it's more of a drama that they tried to sell like a rom-com. It's really not. They don't come out enough nowadays, but I always enjoy them.
I've been in a 90s rom-com kick recently because like I watched this. Eric and I watched While You Were Sleeping a couple weeks ago, and I had a great time with that. I'm really into that mode right now, and it's something I kind of want to sink my teeth into.
I could easily go home and watch Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail. At this moment.
Both of those are great.
I may do that. Tomorrow's Mother's Day. I've got a screener for Babes.
Babes? That's a great movie.
I know. I can't wait to share. It was really neat, actually. I was talking to Neon, and long story short, I was basically like, it's Mother's Day. I would really like to watch that with my wife. And I saw it at South by Southwest, but like, when we have a toddler, we will not be going to the theater together to see this movie. And that kind of sucks. And they were like, because it comes out on Mother's Day, and they sent it to me like, oh, here you go.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Isn't that so
nice.
sweet?
That's nice of them.
I'm like, yeah, have fun with your wife. It's gonna be
great.
Yeah. So anyway, When Harry Met Sally, huge fan of this movie. I just think it's almost perfect. You know, even the supporting cast, all the lines and the quips, there's some emotion here. You really get the situation that they're in. Like you see each side and you know, and I love their friendship even before everything's out in the open. It's like a beautiful friendship, you know?
Yeah.
I was actually wanted to see what you thought. There's a point in this movie where for a couple of years, Harry will kiss her full on the mouth in like a friendly way.
Yeah.
And nobody it's like,
they're friends.
Have you ever had a friend?
No, never.
Like, is that just not a thing anymore? Or are we cavemen?
Oh, I don't know if that's not a thing anymore. Me personally, I'm I'm a personal bubble person, so I'm not very touchy feely with people in general.
I'm really huggy, but I would never, you know.
I think in today's day and age, like you have to be like best friends, maybe.
And even then,
try that.
It's like, are you trying to fuck?
Yeah.
So this happened to me once. I was at my friend's. This is bizarre. I've never told this story. I was at my friend's wedding.
Wait, where you kissed someone on the mouth as a
I
friend?
didn't do
they
it.
Kiss you in the
they
mouth
kissed
as a
me.
friend? Oh, okay.
I was at my friend's wedding. I wasn't a groomsman. We weren't that tight, but I was like pretty close with the groom. And I knew the obviously I knew
this before the wedding? Like you guys are hanging out right before the wedding?
No, this is the reception.
Oh, okay.
At the reception, everybody's drunk. I don't drink. You know what I mean? But most people are drunk, and we're hanging out, having a good time. I'm eating some cake and shit. The bride comes up to me, who again I'm friends with, but like not besties. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, hey, what up, girl? You know, I give her a hug.
Married? Hell yeah.
She kisses me full on the mouth and says, "Thank you for coming." And I was like shocked. You know what I mean? I didn't make it weird, but I was just like, oh yeah, no problem. And
and then you left.
Kinda, yeah. I've never forgotten that because I'm not French. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't do the mwah, mwah, darling.
They do the fake, like they're not actually kissing you on the cheek. They're just kind of like hovering their cheeks to your cheek, and they kiss like in the general direction behind you.
And like post-COVID, that's not okay. You know?
Oh yeah.
You don't want to do that.
We learned a lot.
But I just wanted to put it out there because watching this movie, I was like, obviously in the context, they do have a lot of sexual, not just sexual tension, but they're in love and they just haven't admitted it to themselves yet, right?
Yeah.
But it's also treated like they could easily do this and not feel like it's weird, you know?
Yeah.
And I'd like watching it in 2024, I was like, could they? You know? Am I just a pleb? Or?
I do feel like that was something that was done in the past because I remember growing up and seeing other adults do that, but I don't, you know, maybe there was something going on. I don't know. I was just
was that your mommy and daddy?
No. But I remember seeing like older people like doing that and just thinking like, oh, that's what old people do. Ew, kissing. But then like as I've grown up, it's like, I'm good. Just 5 feet.
I think we should start doing that when we show up for the pod. We just kiss each other and then sit down and record.
Are you ready to record, babe? Yeah, babe.
Why not? I think it's fine. Yeah, it starts off with the old people yapping. They're talking about how they met. It's these pre-filmed, apparently actors of real stories that are interspersed throughout this movie.
This beautiful girl walked in and I said, hey, buddy, I'm going to marry that girl. And 2 weeks later we were. Fuck, that's fast, man.
Dude, back then, 55 years later.
I saw someone. She was breathing, had all their teeth. I'm going to marry that girl.
Now, keep in mind, this was a good 20 years before they could vote. So, but it worked for me.
It worked for me. And hey, she can't leave me now.
We moved to tech. Never mind. So the movie starts off in 1977 at the University of Chicago. Harry's from New Jersey, so you pick up later. I don't remember where Sally's from, but Harry dates Sally's best friend. And they're about to drive up to New York. They're both moving to New York together. I don't know if they're going to grad school or just happen to get jobs there. So it just makes sense that they should carpool, essentially. Harry's making out with his college sweetheart. Sally pulls up and just waits like, okay. Takes her forever to get their attention. And then
Has that ever happened to you?
People making out and won't stop?
Like a friend couple or like making out and you're like, guys, we got to go to the movie. It's going to be late.
I think I was that guy, if anything, because I had a girlfriend from 14 to 19. And so I was probably that guy, if anything.
That happened to me once in high school where I like went up like a couple of my friend group. We were like in the living room getting ready to go to a movie or something. And I went to my room, which is upstairs, to like grab something. And my girlfriend at the time had like went up there and followed me. And we started making out. And I didn't think it was that long or that anyone was aware of what we were doing. Like it had to have been like, in my mind, it was like 30 seconds. But then one of like her best friend on the bottom of the stairs, like, let's fucking go. Quit making out. And I'm like, how do you know?
How do they know?
Like, were they texting each other? How did they out? I don't know. It's wild.
You didn't notice that she was texting.
Yeah.
Gotta keep your eyes closed.
Yeah, you have to.
I get it. But they hop in the car and he immediately, I love his vibe. I know he's a dick, but it works for comedy so well.
Yeah, he's so deadpan honest and just doesn't give a shit about what anyone thinks about him. Like when he's like spitting the grape seeds out.
This is who I thought I was when I didn't know I was an asshole. You know?
Yeah.
Yesterday? No. So like when he spits the grape on the window, that's like comedically too much, right? So I'll roll the window down.
Roll the window down.
Why are you even spitting grapes? There's no pits or anything.
Well, this is the 70s, my guy. Maybe
who knows what was in them grapes?
Yeah, seriously.
The raisin's in there.
Yeah,
it's in the middle. But yeah, he's such an asshole because she's talking about how she's moving to New York to have things happen to her. She wants to experience life. Oh, you're going to be a journalist, so you can write about things that actually happen to other people.
Yeah,
and they talk about whether or not they each have a dark side, and he's just probing and being an asshole.
Yeah, he's like, suppose you die in one of those New York deaths where no one realizes it for like 2 weeks. Like, he gets real dark on it real fast.
It's so ominous. They talk about Casablanca, another amazing, perfect film. And she talks about how she wouldn't go with Humphrey Bogart. He's just have you seen Casablanca?
I was about to say, I have to admit, I've never seen Casablanca.
Beautiful film, but the plot is basically Casablanca is the city where they're at. He runs a bar there. It's like a nightclub, a jazz club. It's wonderful. But he is her old fling, her lost love, that they happen to run into each other there. And it's like this star-crossed lovers thing. And basically her character at this point in her life is saying, I wouldn't have stayed there either. Like, you don't want to be married to a bar owner. That's not a stable life. She's very practical. It's a very unromantic thing to say about that movie.
Yeah.
Which is why he criticizes her. And it says a lot about her and where she's at in life at that time. And then there's a whole conversation about, well, obviously you haven't had great sex yet.
I've had plenty of good sex. Like right as they walk into the diner and it gets quiet right when she says it. God, that's the most embarrassing thing when a place is loud and you keep like talking at that volume, but for whatever reason or another, the volume drops.
As soon as you have like a legitimate reason to talk about like anal, it's when everyone else, you know what I mean? I don't know if this happened to anyone else.
All the time.
There was a great segue for this. I'm not weird. It's on topic. What I love about this scene now, something I've never thought about before, is it's juxtaposed to her faking an orgasm in Cat's Deli. Like she's grown so much as a person. She cares less about what other people think. And I think it's on purpose, whereas before I thought it was just two sex jokes.
Yeah.
But I think it says a lot about her character because she's like so mortified and could not obviously give a fuck by the time, they're at Cat's Deli 10 years later.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool arc for her character.
But, she has had good sex, kid.
Yeah, Sheldon.
With Sheldon. I just love how he's like, no, you haven't.
It's the name.
No one named Sheldon.
I thought about
good sex.
Did you think about the Big Bang Theory immediately?
Immediately, yeah.
Humping and pumping is not Sheldon's strong suit.
Sheldon can do your taxes.
He can do your taxes. But he's so aloof and it works. Like that's the kind of person I never was. Like I was very obviously deeply caring in what you thought about me. And it's part of his riz that he's like, oh, what happened with so-and-so? You dating him? It's none of your business. Okay, it's none of my business. And then he'll just wait for her to be driven crazy and answer anyway, because he like legitimately looks like he doesn't care. Yeah. And then she talks about why they broke up was the days of the week undies. Yeah. And how he was always suspicious that she never wore Sunday, as in she maybe had left them at a lover's house. And their Sundays doesn't exist because of God. I forgot about days of the week undies.
Was that a night? Like,
I think it's in like Scary Movie or something. Another movie I used to watch as a kid where like Anna Faris is wearing like a Wednesday pair or something, but it's not Wednesday is what's so gross and funny about that. That's the thing about days of the week undies is you could never wear them on a different day without looking like a scuzzy person.
Yeah.
So it'll backfire.
It will. All the time.
You're in a hurry to get to work. So you grab Mondays on a Friday and then you're in a situation where people can see your undies later.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good.
No, not at all.
You've been wearing these for 4 days?
Gross.
No, I just grabbed Mondays. You sure?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I would just write on my underwear like any day that ends with Y, and then I'm good.
But after...
But we get Sally has this really awesome character trait where she has
the ordering.
Specific ordering.
Yes.
I love this. I love how like they set this up and they use it for comedy a lot because her ordering is just bonkers and off the wall.
I would hate this person, but they make it cute. But like in real life, I would leave the restaurant and never dine with him again.
Yeah. So I'm going to read. I wrote down her entire first order because I was just so intrigued.
Yeah, this one's the worst.
And fascinated by it. She says, I want the chef salad with the oil and vinegar on the side and an apple pie a la mode. Would like the pie heated, but I don't want ice cream on the top. I want the ice cream on the side. And I'd also like strawberry instead of vanilla ice cream if you have it. But if not, then no ice cream, just whipped cream, but only if it's real. If it's out of the can, then nothing. Just the pie, but then not heated. And it's like, what is a person supposed to do with that? And
I mean, it actually makes perfect sense.
Sure.
And I think it's an adorable, like in a positive light, knows exactly what she wants. It's an attractive thing. Sure.
Yeah.
But also, I will never come to a restaurant with you again. You know what I mean?
Right. But I love the cutaway to the waitress in the scene. It's like, all right. But it is an example because I'm sure all of us have had this when we're with someone that we love. They have something that could be seen as like an annoying or
that's my whole personality
trait. Yeah. But because you love them, you love that about them. Like for something like that, just you love that so much. And like, I love how they bring that at like towards the end when he's like, I love how you're a monster at ordering. Apparently that's based off of Nora Ephron herself.
Oh, really?
Like she orders like
She's
that.
She's a piece of shit?
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Then he tells her when they walk outside how attractive she is. You're very attractive, right? And he goes in pretty hard.
You're a very attractive person.
Yeah, he goes pretty hard. And then she's like, hey, stop hitting on me, essentially. And he's like, oh, okay, my bad. And they get in the car and he's like, I think we should get a motel together. And I said I was going to forget it, but I went the other way. So he's trying to cheat on his girlfriend with her friend, Yeah. Not a good move.
He's gross.
I thought she sucked for ordering that way. Way worse.
Way worse. Right? This is way worse.
Would you ever tell one of your lady friends that she's incredibly attractive in a way that's not Riz?
I wouldn't say it this way. I would say I would be more genuine, like, cause you look great today. That's like, I wouldn't say like, you're very attractive. Like I wouldn't be hitting on them, but I would like compliment.
You have a lot of like sexual magnetism. Have I ever told you that?
Do I?
Not you.
Oh,
I just meant like if you said that to a friend, that'd be kind of weird, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That tracks. You have a lot of sexual magnetism. Oh, not you.
And then he goes on the iconic speech. No, not you. He goes on the iconic speech about how men and women can't be friends because there's the whole sex thing between them, betwixt them, if you will.
Yes.
If a woman's attractive, you can never be. So and she says, oh, so you could be friends with a woman you don't find attractive. And he's like, nah, you pretty much want to nail them too. I had to pause it. I was laughing so hard because it's such an asshole thing to say.
Yeah.
And the way that this scene plays out is so funny to me. I do think legitimately this movie is hilarious in addition to having a really good romantic thread. And that's the problem with a lot of rom-coms today when they try to make them is it's like either the romance isn't quite there or it's not funny. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like you got to have both. And it's really difficult. But yeah, love this scene. I think it's hilarious, but it's very important for the themes of the rest of the movie. She drops him off. And he's like, essentially, so we're not going to be friends? And he's like, no, I guess not. And she's like, well, that's sad because you're the only person I know in New York. And they part ways. He's got his little baseball bat too. And I was like, what's that for?
Well, that was
later he goes to the batting cage, but.
Oh, that makes sense. I thought it was like, hey, I'm in New York. This is my safety thing.
No, he likes baseball.
Yeah. Well, you remember there was a time in like, I feel like the 80s and 90s where the common thing like, ooh, there's an intruder. And they would grab a baseball bat by their bed.
My wife has a baseball bat on her side of the bed.
It has nails in it, right?
Today. No.
Oh, that'd have been dope.
It's barbed wire.
Oh, Cactus Jack herself. Does she pick it up sometimes and raise it in the air and a crowd goes wild?
She does. It's weird. She's also missing one of her front teeth. It's Mick Foley. That's who.
Carissa's been Mick Foley this whole time.
She goes by Dude Love usually.
Oh yeah.
But
she really loves Christmas.
We still got the bat, and it's like a small bat that's literally just for hitting people. Clearly, you know what I mean.
So like more like a bully club, or
sure,
like, is it one of those like novelty baseball bats you get at baseball games that are like 1.5 feet long?
It's long. It's bigger and longer than that, but it's sold as baseball bat. But it's very clearly just for bonking.
So it's like baseball bat wink.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It wouldn't be efficient in any field situation,
right?
But yeah, that's still a thing. If you don't have like a gun, what else are you going to do?
Yeah. I have a big giant dildo.
That's what it's multi-purpose.
Like if someone breaks in, I come running at them with that thing flopping around. Like it's like it's like the dildo bat from Saints Row. I can just come get out of my fucking house. It's like wheeling around.
Yeah.
They'll leave.
Most burglars, that's the most effective way to get them to leave.
Yeah.
Come running at them naked, fully erect.
Yeah.
Don't break in there. He's trying to fuck. It's not worth it.
It's better than ADT. Because they will tell their friends and they'll tell 2 friends and they'll tell 2 more friends. I'm pretty sure the entire neighborhood knows that guy's ready to fuck. Don't break in there.
Hi. Welcome to my room of pain. And then we cut to more of the old folks yapping about how they met and how long they've been married. And then 5 years later, Sally is now making out with a man. It's Joe that Harry recognizes.
Is this Joe Velez?
It might be.
What?
Joey V.
Joey V.
So he walks by in an airport and sees her, and it looks like he recognizes her, and he keeps staring and he just waits until they notice him. But then it's like, Joe, and he kind of ignores her, doesn't remember her. But then finally he does. There's a look of recognition on his face. And then there's that whole conversation that Sally has about the women friends. And
she doesn't even remember Amanda's name.
I think Joe's cute in this scene because he's like, she's like, do you have any women friends? And he's like, well, no. Do you want me to get some? Does that bother you? I thought that was a cute answer. But then Harry and Sally, not Halle Berry, are on the plane together. He asks, when he asked if they had sex, because he doesn't quite remember her, like, did we, and he does a little fist thing. The guy next to her, if you look at him, he thinks that's hilarious.
No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he just smiles real big, and I think it's just cute. And then he ends up swapping seats with them so they can sit together the whole time. He's getting married now, and he does this he's still got that cynical beat where he goes, the whole thing when you have sex, and it's like, how long do I have to lie here and hold her before I go home?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm not being cool here. I've literally never thought that.
What, that you're cuddling with someone and you're just like, man,
how long do I have to do this before I can? Well, I've never dated, so I guess maybe that's goes back to what I said at the beginning. But I've never had that scenario where I'm like, ooh, awkward. Like it's never anywhere for me to go. Usually,
right?
No.
I'm the same way. Like I've never really been like, oh man, because usually, and also, it's just like, I'm also a person that if I'm with someone like that, it's like, it's my partner, it's my friend. I want to hang out with you. It's not like, I gotta go.
And I appreciate you never leaving me right afterward.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that you like to be small spoon, and I get to big spoon you. Just wrap my pool noodle arms around you and hold you tight.
I like a bigger spoon, more like an ice cream scooper.
That's what you
Real
like?
deep. Yeah.
Real deep. You know that famous photo of John Lennon just like all over Yoko Ono in the bed? That's what we do. You're the Yoko.
It's just a pre-recording exercise.
Right.
You know? Some people do shake eights. Some people do vocal exercises. We John and Yoko. It's okay. Imagine.
Oh, Yoko.
Yeah. And then he talks about the amendment to his previous rule of men and women can't be friends because he wants to go out to dinner with her. And then he talks himself out of it, essentially.
Yeah.
Which goes back to the earlier amendment that we can't be friends.
Two people in relationships can't be friends.
Yeah.
Although that doesn't work either because and then he like goes down the rabbit hole of like, well, then your partner's going to be like, why did you go with them? Like, yeah.
The thing is about him being an asshole is he's just being honest. Like, and people say that when they're really just being an asshole. But in this context, you can tell he's like working it out. He just says his every thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he has a
That's
filter.
all. That's his problem. And I can identify with that. It's not a fun way to exist.
There's I was laughing out loud at this part where he's like, all right, well, goodbye. And then they just keep walking next to each other.
I'll just stop and let you go.
Yeah.
Because everybody, that's when you say bye and then go in the same direction, it's torture.
Yeah.
You can't start again.
No.
You've already did the painful bye. We cut to more old people yapping. And then my note, I don't remember what this guy said, but I said, this dude is fucking awesome. Oh, this is the guy that's been divorced like 3 times.
Yeah, he's like, I got a divorce. And then you married Marjorie. Oh, yeah. But then I lived with Barbara. Yeah. And then I married Katie. But then I was at a funeral for Roberta.
And he was with his girlfriend.
And then he
talking
Roberta's is the wife. And he ditches his girlfriend at a wedding to get back together or funeral. He ditches her at the funeral to get back together with Roberta, and they've been married 35 years or they got remarried 35 years to the day after their first marriage.
Have you ever seen Wedding Crashers?
Oh yeah.
You remember the Will Ferrell character that's been he's been cleaning up at funerals? That's what this reminded me of.
Clean it up. Death is nature's aphrodisiac.
Mom!
Meatloaf!
Meatloaf!
Fuck!
This episode of Streaming Things is sponsored by BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.
You know, Steve, there's something I need to get off my chest.
What's that, fella?
It's been weighing on me. You know that I resigned at the day job recently, right? And I've been a little scared. There's a family to worry about. There's health insurance. There's capitalism.
Sounds like a stressful time.
But we all carry around different stressors, big and small. It feels better when you bring something to the light. We keep them bottled up. It can start to affect us negatively. And therapy is a safe space to get things off your chest and to figure out how to work through whatever's weighing you down. In my case, it's all the stress, the misery, the fear. But I had to come over here and share that with you, and I felt better. You know, that's a real thing that happened.
Yeah.
Unloading all that on you and Erica and feeling better myself.
That sounds like my Friday night.
Sometimes you just need somebody to listen. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you're not vibing, that's completely fine. So get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/streamingthings to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/streamingthings.
It's the month of May, a very special month that is very near and dear close to my heart. And it's that time of the month where we get to send a huge virtual hug and a round of applause to some truly stellar individuals. Our super patrons at the Try Before You Deny tier and above. You all make this show possible, and it's time you get a special shout out. So thank you very much to Stanton Valentino, Maddlestat, Susie Callahan, Anthony Corona, Sunshine, Huckleberry Cauliflower, Ashley Hazen, Mike from New Hampshire, Brett X, Emily Scarano, Lil Tickler, Svento7, Jay Scramo, Bluff Pum, AK Ashley Ray, Adam Busby, Wendy O'Laughlin, Jason Hawkins, Conrad, Kaylee Sampson, Rabbit Dog in a Barbie Car, Charlie Friday, Alexis Adler, Peaches, Emmy, Haley B, Joe Velez, John Collins, Amanda King, Trisha Bueller, Sun Loving Mortal, Suzanne Rode, Jen Robinson, Kalisha Reeves, Aaron Armstrong, Kevin Strother, Ashley Powers, Stephen V, Casey McCain, and Enza. A massive thank you to each of you and to all of our patrons at every level. Even if you're not at the shout out tier, your support means the world to us. We couldn't do it without you, and we hope you feel as much a part of the Streaming Things community as we do every day. And with that, how about we get back to the show?
And then it's 5 years later again. So I assume it's 1987 now. I can do quick math. She'd be 31 at this point. And her friend Marie is Carrie Fisher. They're out at what looks like a solid ass brunch. She has just broken up with
this brunch
Joe.
looks great.
Marie is dating a married man. The other friend, not important, never comes back.
Alice.
Nobody cares about Alice. And she talks about how Harry was getting married, you know?
This scene cracked me up because they get on the part where like, oh, you need a transitional man. You know, you and Joe broke up.
Sure.
You need to get back out there, girl. And then Mary pulls out a fucking Rolodex.
Remember a Rolodex?
She has a Rolodex of dudes that you can try to go on a date with.
My parents had a Rolodex, not of dudes.
Are you sure?
No.
You sure about that? Are you sure about that?
I'm not actually. I think it was like electricians and stuff. I don't know. But yeah, it's Rolodex, baby.
My mom didn't have a Rolodex, but she had like a little binder.
Damn, the
What?
sinus infection is making you sound like Forrest Gump at times. My mama didn't have a Rolodex. She had a binder.
She had a binder.
But there was nothing but dudes in there.
On the front of it was a sticker of a toothpaste man who was happy about dental health. And that's true. That actually is her contact list was a little blue binder with a toothpaste man on the front. I don't know why she had that. She still has it to this day.
When the cell phone came out, my mama said, we ain't got to worry about Rolodexes no more, which is good. One less thing.
My mama came home and she said, honey, I got a beeper.
Call me anytime you want and I will call you back.
Press it sends 111 for emergencies.
Yeah. Anyway, your Forrest Gump impersonation, way better with a sinus
Way
infection.
better. Yeah, I got to get sick more often.
Yeah. But yeah, they got the Rolodex. That was hilarious. And it's just a Rolodex of dudes down that are DTF. And I respect that.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's got to have one of those. We cut to Harry, one of my favorite scenes in this movie, one that I don't remember at all. Harry at a football game. Helen is leaving him. And every time he says something utterly devastating and dark, like she told me, I don't know if I've ever loved you. And they do the wave.
The wave comes back to him. Yeah.
And the fact that like societally he can't not do it.
They're all stuck participating in it.
I fucking just that's comedy, baby. It's in the background, you know? It's subtle.
So good.
Some Dr. Strangelove shit. Mr. Zero knew.
Mr. Zero knew before you knew. Mr. Zero knew.
It's funny stuff. And that's him and his buddy Jess. He comes back later.
Mr. Zero is like the mover,
He's
right?
the mover, yeah.
It's the mover who's wearing a t-shirt that says, don't fuck with Mr. Zero.
Nope, Mr.
I want that
Zero,
shirt.
no. You do need that shirt. It's accurate.
Don't fuck with Mr. Zero. Yes, Helen made an arrangement to move out a week beforehand and didn't tell him.
She was banging Ira. We meet Ira later too.
Ira. Fucking Ira.
We cut to the bookstore. That's another thing we don't do. They're like Rolodexes.
Oh, sorry, real quick. There's this great line where I think Jess says something about, that's the problem is that she didn't love you anymore. And it's not the guy's fault. It's the she didn't love you at all. And he's like, well, the symptom is fucking my wife or something like that. Love that line.
It's a rough symptom for sure. And back at the bookstore, Harry is watching Sally and Marie and they can see him. And Sally tells Marie, you'd like him. He's married. But he walks up, says, hey, I remember you. Marie dips out because she wants her to have a transitional man, right?
Yeah, I love how they cut to her. She's like, oh, this is my friend Marie. And it cuts back to her. And she's like halfway down a set of stairs waving in the distance.
Yeah, she's a good wingman. So they go out for coffee and there's the whole I Spy a Family speech about, what happened with her and Joe. Basically, they had different goals for life. So they bond over their recent breakups. And it's just a bunch of them hanging out for the next few scenes. I love the line about obituaries and real estate. Yeah. It's just like Seinfeld 90s humor that sue me. I really appreciate. Yeah. I strive to be that kind of funny in casual conversation. Sometimes to varying success, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I really enjoy that kind of shit. And he tells her, you're the first attractive woman I've not wanted to sleep with. It's like one of the end. She's like, thanks, Harry.
Thanks. But he does apologize to her.
He does.
For being an asshole when they first met. He's like, what's the statute of limitations on apologies? And she's
Yeah.
like, 10 years. He's like, oh, made it right in time.
Right under the wire. And then we get another elderly couple talking about how they met and how they got married.
We were born in the same hospital. We lived on the same street. We worked at the same building. We never met. And then where do we meet? The Ambassador Hotel. I stood in the elevator for 9 extra floors to talk to her.
That's adorable.
Cute.
That's adorable.
That's cute.
That's a good one. Harry calls Sally. She's watching Casablanca. Denies that she had ever shit on Humphrey Bogart. Why would I ever do that? No, who would want to, you know what I mean? And so she's grown romantically and emotionally.
She's like, I love bars.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just miserable over his divorce, leaning on Sally.
He's watching Leave It to Beaver in Spanish.
And he's pretty good at speaking Spanish too.
He is, yeah.
It's impressive. And then there's the phone call during the montage. So there's a montage of them hanging out while they talk about Casablanca. And they end up watching Casablanca together remotely. I'm like, oh, what channel is it on? And I've told you before, Andy and I used to do this. So we were basically Harry and Sally, you know, we'd press play at the same time on movies and just when we couldn't hang out, watch them together.
Apparently, Nora Ephron wrote this based off Rob Reiner and Billy Crystal. Apparently, they did it. They did this together.
So it's,
yeah. It's just bros being
It's a bro
bros.
thing.
It's a bro thing.
Yeah. That's what we used to do. Yeah, exactly. Evil Dead. Oh, really? Let me pop it on. Let's watch it together. Sort of. That's a great thing. But Andy would always ruin it.
You would?
Yeah, he would like go take a shit.
Oh, that
And
does sound
and
like
he's one
Andy.
of them guys that takes a while.
You got to take a shit, dude.
So I'd be 15, 16 minutes ahead of him eventually. Like, dude, what's going on right now? Or he would go smoke. You know what I mean? And he had to go outside.
Yeah.
So
Classic Andy.
pause it. I got to go smoke. Don't smoke. Just wait. It's just a
wait.
movie.
It's a movie.
You remember how he was when we would
yeah.
record Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah.
Smoke again? I'm like, dude. It's okay. He quit now.
Proud of him.
You know, it's a real thing. It's an addiction. That's all. Then we cut to Harry talking about his dream, his frequent recurring dream about Olympic lovemaking.
Yeah.
A judge that looks suspiciously like his mother, giving him a 5.6, must be the dismount. Yeah. And he invites her to go to the movies. She can't go because she has a date and she's like worried to tell him because we've been hanging out a lot lately. I don't know what the vibe here is, but she thinks he's going to be jealous or upset. And he's like, no, I think that's great for you. Go on a date. And like, they're like actually good friends, you know? We cut to them redecorating his apartment.
I love this line where it's like, so they have that awkward moment.
This is where he does the pecan pie stuff too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But also after they have that awkward moment, he completely changed the tone of it of saying like hieroglyphics. I have this theory that hieroglyphics are just a comic strip about a guy named Sphinxy. Like it's such a random thing just to throw out there.
No.
And then they're like talking about like how bad the date went. And Sally says like, yeah,
At his apartment.
Yeah, at Harry's apartment. And Sally says like the dude that she went on the date with before plucked a hair off of her and then flossed his teeth with that hair.
That's serial killer shit.
That's fucking disgusting. Yeah, who that person needs to be locked up for life.
First off, plugging a hair hurts.
Yeah.
Serial killer immediately. That's not like, oh, we're not my type.
And then you start flossing with it?
Jail.
That's not what hair is meant for. It'll
Jail.
break.
Jail.
Yeah, seriously.
It would only be worse if it was like a butt hair or something. And then murder is above that for like worse things that happen on a date.
And you're just going to floss your teeth at the dinner table?
So
What the fuck?
I did that once at a company event.
You pulled someone's hair?
No. Fuck no. I had a bunch of shit in my teeth. I started flossing a lot recently, like over the last few years, which everybody listening is gonna be like, oh, good for him. Good for kid. But it's like a thing that bothers me when I go to the theater and I get popcorn, I carry those flossers. Like
Floss picks?
Floss picks.
Yeah.
I put them in a little baggie and I put this in my pocket with a piece of gum and I take that with me. That's weird maybe, but I like fresh mouth. You know what I'm saying? You never know when you're going to need fresh mouth. So
I'm in the need for
what if I
fresh
run into
mouth?
Steve and he wants to kiss me like he always does, right?
Always.
So I'm at this company event. It's a networking lunch. There's like 40 people eating free lunch and then giving presentations there. I go there once a month or whatever at the time. And I look at the lady next to me, who's a friend of mine. And I'm like, psst, hey, you got any floss? And she's like, I think so. You know, because ladies got the purses. They got all kinds of shit, right? So she pulls out some floss. I guess she thought I would go to the bathroom or something. Maybe that's what I should have
Like
done.
a normal person?
So I sit there. Everybody's looking at like the nurse giving the presentation. I just start flossing.
God.
And she's like,
oh no.
she's like aghast. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm using the floss that you gave me. And then slowly everyone starts looking over at me and realizing I'm flossing.
I like the idea of you like, I'm using the floss you gave me, idiot.
Yeah, like what?
What's your fucking problem?
I guess that's weird. It's not like I'm jerking off. I'm just using floss. Now, I guess it's akin to if I just started brushing my teeth and spitting in a cup, that would be bizarre.
Mouths are gross, man. You don't want to like have shit flinging around your mouth.
I wasn't like, you know,
whipping it back and forth.
yeah, just a little, you know, getting some specific bits that were bothering me out.
Where do the bits go?
You swallow them. They're just, they're the food that you just ate. Right? Is that weird? Is that weird?
No, that's not weird. I'm just making sure like food's not like falling out of your mouth into your lap and
I mean, it wasn't like a chainsaw floss, you know. Just pull out a water pick.
You like squirting them.
Just start showering. Just hoe bathing it at the table.
I think she's doing a great presentation.
Do you have any moist towelettes? My balls are sweaty. Like, I don't know. It didn't seem weird. I'll never do it again. Sorry. But yeah, that's what happened during the date. But also during this scene at his apartment, two things struck me. This apartment would be ridiculously expensive.
Oh, this apartment's gorgeous.
17 grand a month at this point.
At least.
In the 80s, I don't know, but very expensive. We can gloss over that. That happens a lot. In rom-coms specifically, I made a video about how most people in rom-coms are rich, and that's just like part of the fantasy.
Yeah.
But also, holy fuck, that rug would have cost $5 grand.
Yeah, that rug is enormous. And
I can tell I'm getting so old that I'm unable to even enjoy movies because immediately, as soon as it cut, I was like, holy fuck, that rug's expensive. Because my wife's always wanting rugs. And I'm like, oh, no, buddy.
No.
Honey.
We're going to have to sell one or all of the kids.
The rugs are crazy expensive.
Dude, I know. The rug that we have here isn't even a big one. It was like $300.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we used like a cut carpet square last time we had one.
Ugh.
Yeah. Tacky.
Hey,
but cheap.
It works.
Yeah.
How many people walk into your home and see it and go, carpet square?
I mean, we got rid of it because the animals made it stinky.
Sure.
But yeah, that was the last time I attempted a rug. Imagine I got $1,000 rug and it got all stinky from the dogs.
Oh, I know.
Gone.
Dogs.
Out on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got a really expensive
wrap
rug.
their body up in that carpet.
Yeah. But this is where we get the Big Ten schools line, you know.
Yeah, because he also went on a date. He said he wasn't ready, but she kind of encouraged him to start dating.
Everything
again.
makes him think of Helen.
Yeah.
I love the line. He talked about how horribly it went. He was so sad about Helen. And, oh, so you went home? No, I went to bed with her. Again, hilarious. I had to pause it because he's just being so brutally honest about how much dudes suck all the way throughout this movie.
He's a real dog of a bloke.
That's right. That's right. We cut to him at the batting cage with Jess. By the way, batting cages are fun, Steve. I know you hate baseball. Have you ever whacked some balls?
Yeah, I've whacked balls.
Isn't it fun? I like driving ranges. Don't like golfing. I like batting cages. Don't like baseball.
Well, here's the thing. Batting cages and driving ranges are the only fun parts of those sports. So it makes sense to just go to a thing where you just do the fun thing and then you're good.
They should have a kickball batting cage, like a soccer thing, where balls just roll at you and you can kick them. And then you can like,
yeah.
How fun would that be?
Fuck yeah. Dude, when I was in high school, there was this really funny thing that the girls in gym class specifically would make fun of, where what they would do, because they know how boys are, they would just, if there was because there was like dodgeballs that were just around in gym class.
Yeah, they're always just in the gymnasium, as they say in Germany.
So if nothing was going on, one of the girls would go up and grab a ball and just roll it, just slightly, not even quickly, just slowly roll it so the ball is just kind of drifting across the court.
Kick it.
And the boys would be like in the corner, like, yeah, math, and they would stop
squirrel
and run over and just fucking wail on this thing and kick it. And then they would go back to talking. And it was like, boys are dumb. Watch this. Mm-hmm. And it worked every time.
Squirrel. Yeah, we got to kick them. Any ball rolling at me is getting kicked. I'm letting you know right now.
I think you're onto something. We should really start that business.
I think the rolling ball bat, the foot cage. Oh, that's not a good name.
The foot cage. Quentin Tarantino just got our inbox.
All right. He's got 3 tickets. All right.
I'm in.
But yeah, so
the ball pit.
They're at the batting cage. He's confused about how he can be friends with a woman, right? And I love, again, this is like peak comedy to me, the fact that Billy Crystal is sitting there. It's because I've grown as a person, okay? I'm like a much more mature, emotionally intelligent person. Hey, it's my turn. All right, kid, it's not your turn. I've been here all day. I got a stack of quarters. And so it's juxtaposed with him arguing with a 10-year-old about how grown he is. I think it's wonderful.
You made a woman meow?
Yeah. And apparently, Harry is dynamite in the sack.
Apparently. I mean, you wouldn't think it looking at Billy Crystal, but he is.
I wouldn't think so. But honestly, that tracks. Because he's no Glenn Powell. He's no Brad Pitt.
He's got to work at it.
He's got to put in the fucking work.
Yeah, he's got to put
exactly. I get that.
Yeah.
You got to do that extra little research and effort in order to succeed with men like that out there.
Especially when you walk around with that guy's confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's swinging.
Right.
He makes women meow. And I think it's funny because later when he does finally sleep with Sally, I'm just going to say, I know she loves him, but also she looks very happy. You know what I'm saying? Mm. He put it down.
Did he?
I think so.
Okay.
He put it down. He's like, you want any water? You thirsty? You want to watch a movie?
I like to imagine that she put it down. And that's why she like literally changed his life in that moment.
So wide-eyed.
It was so wide-eyed. It's like, oh my God, I didn't know.
Like, he's wondering. You think he's questioning his sexuality because she pressed some buttons he didn't know were there?
Yeah, she like, I didn't know pinkies went there.
On the first go?
Yeah.
She went knuckle?
Yeah.
Hey, she's enlightened. I respect that.
Yeah.
But then we cut to the Cat's Deli scene. The famous Cat's Deli scene.
We talked about it.
The whole scene,
so good.
The whole conversation. You can tell when they're not faking it. And she's like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah.
And we get the scene.
You're an affront to women, Harry.
And she does a very convincing.
Does she?
Public orgasm.
There it is.
God.
But I like that she does like the build up and, she does the whole thing. And the afterward, like the whoo,
Yeah, it's really good. And I just
love
love
what she's having.
Everyone slowly turning and looking at her. And there's a point where he's like, when she first starts, he's like, "You all right?" Like thinking she's like sick.
You
or
having a hot
something.
flash? You having you choking?
And then when it crescendos and it's obvious what she's doing, he goes from being like embarrassed to then he's like looking at her like, "All right, this is fucking cool. You're awesome.
This is good.
You're the coolest person I know."
Yeah, for sure. And then we cut to Snow, Christmas time shit. He's helping her get her tree. It's another montage of them being great friends. They're at a New Year's Eve party together. They're dancing. I love the subtlety of how they panic and kind of run outside when it's time to kiss as the ball drops.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want to get some air? Right as it's time to kiss. And then they do a little peck anyway.
Is there a freeze frame in this?
I didn't catch
Like
it.
to transition from this to
the old people yapping?
Yeah.
Maybe a slight one, but it's like you said, sometimes that'll happen when they didn't get enough footage to do the fade.
Yeah.
And it's just film editing, so they didn't have much of a choice.
Right.
So I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
But more old people yapping. We cut to Sally with Marie. She's still with the married man. Ultimately, this scene is about them trying to fix each other up with their friends. So Harry's trying to fix Jess up with Sally, and Sally's trying to fix Marie up with Harry. And there's this whole funny bit because, again, it was okay-er for dudes to just be slightly to extremely misogynist in 89.
Yeah.
But guys are unfortunately still a lot like this today. But there's this it is funny, the conversation they're having about, she does have a good personality. Oh, so she's not attractive. When somebody says they have a good personality, it's because they're not attractive. No, I said she's attractive. And then you ask, and he also has a good personality, and they do this like the kind of comedy where they're
like
overanalyze. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate, and they are lawyers. Well, one's a writer, but
he's a political lawyer or something like that, right?
Harry is.
Harry, yeah.
Yeah. They have a double date, which is not working out. And ultimately, Jess and Marie are hitting it off. She quotes one of his articles from a magazine. And I never quote magazines.
And of course, Jess is like, "Oh my gosh, my one true love, someone who can quote my writing."
Oh yeah. And honestly, that would work on me.
Yeah.
Imagine I was single. I'm not, but imagine I was, and I was out on a date and the person was like, or I was on a double date and the person you were with was like, "Yeah, I was listening to this podcast the other day by this Kit Laser." You know how that would be like, oh,
Yeah.
switchies.
Tag me and Steve.
Yeah, immediate. That's a bad example because you're on the pod too, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it would just become me like, me too. Yeah. But you're the Dr. Brennan voice?
Dr. Brennan.
Yo, shit, Dr. Brennan voice?
It's been a while.
It has. I'm fucking, dude,
Sniper
I'm dying
tone,
over here.
that's me.
Oh, is this working for you?
Bust that out at the date.
When it seems like I'm failing at a date, I bust out the old sniper tone.
Every time. That's what
Oh, hey, good looking.
technically technically did work on Erica.
I want to take you to the Nickelodeon.
Oh, not a good time.
Not the company when movie theaters were just a nickel.
Okay, there we go.
I don't know what what you're talking about. That's past my time.
Yeah, I was already dead. So after the double date, they're both kind of looking out for each other. Like, oh, don't do it tonight. You know, they're really sensitive right now. So Harry and Sally both do that to protect each other's emotional well-being. And then they just run off with a cab immediately with each other to go have sex.
I'm going to go with you.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. I wasn't even thinking tonight.
They fucked in that cab.
Oh, no, they read his magazine.
Ooh, tell me about how pesto is the quiche of the 80s.
Old people yapping again, and then 4 months later.
Oh, that was the couple that was like, oh, I hid the tree. And
the village,
the arranged marriage one.
Yep. And then they're shopping for Jess and Marie because I guess they're moving in together. There's this cute bit where and I thought this would resonate with you specifically because you love karaoke so much.
A singing machine?
He's having a blast with that singing machine, singing Oklahoma. And then at this moment, in the middle of Sally singing, he sees his ex-wife with her new man, Ira. And
so awkward.
It's incredibly awkward. He does a horrible job of masking his feelings. And when they leave, he's like, she must be retaining water. You should see her. She saves everything, you know.
She looked weird. Don't you think she looked weird?
I've never met her before.
She looked weird. I will say her hair, the actress that played Helen, her hair had so much volume to it that when he was like, she looks weird, I was like, yeah. Well, it's a weird look.
It was a different time.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely.
You see the shoulder pads on some of Sally's outfits?
Oh,
boy.
Well, yeah, shoulder pads. But like the hair was like, oh, man, you don't see hair like that anymore.
No.
It's like, because people want volume in their hair, right? That's just what you want.
Typically.
But sometimes.
I would go with any hair. That'd be cool.
But sometimes you could. That just registered.
I'm bald.
Yes. But sometimes too much is too much.
That's true. You can have too much volume. It's like when you turn the radio too loud.
Right.
Same thing. Too much volume. Afterward, we cut back to Jess and Marie's house, and there's this whole bit about how much she hates the wagon wheel table. Were you a fan, Steve, of the wagon wheel table?
I thought that was cool.
I think as someone from Kentucky, we should not be allowed to answer that question.
Right.
We've seen a wagon wheel table.
So I think wagon wheel tables are actually popular now.
Oh, like it is cool now.
It's cool now. Yeah. Like that's
Are you sure?
I think so. Cause I know like people who have way better taste than I do who have
like
wagon
Phil?
wheel tables. Yeah.
Literally Phil.
Yeah. His wife got it. So.
And I bet Phil has taste.
He does.
He seems like a guy.
If you go into their home, you're like, oh my God.
He just looks like he fucks.
Dude, that guy fucks. We're getting our fill.
That's right. That's right.
Filled up.
Also, I liked the song Rock Me Mama Like a Wagon Wheel.
What? Sing that for me.
Rock me mama like a wagon wheel. Rock me mama. And you never heard that song?
Who sings that?
Hey, mama, rock me.
Oh, okay.
Old Crow Medicine Show.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know now. When you got to that part,
You never gotten drunk with 13 of your boys and sang that all night?
I don't have 13 boys.
Oh. Yeah, well, it's fun. It's a fun thing to do.
Let's do that when we turn the mics off today.
But then Harry snaps in the middle of this wagon wheel talk. And he's so upset he ran into Heather. He shits all over their marriage and talks about divorce, you know? Did you ever have this during your divorce to go to your married friends and think, oh, you just wait?
No, I never took
You're not a cynical person.
Yeah, I'm not cynical. Yeah.
Sally follows him outside, reels him back in. It's like, hey, that was really inappropriate. And she's so patient with his bullshit, you know? Then he's mean to her too. She shits all over him. It's like, oh, you slept with all of New York and have to move back to New Jersey, right? And then they hug. He's like, I'm so sorry. And then at that moment, Jess brings out the wagon wheel table. And he's like, nah, fucking word. Yeah, because I love the moment where Carrie Fisher looks at him as they leave. And don't worry, I will never want that wagon wheel table. In the divorce, that is yours. They're playing Pictionary or some shit.
Sure. Yeah, Pictionary.
It's not charades,
it's not
right?
Charades, yeah, because it's the drawing one.
It's got to be Pictionary, baby.
It's a baby. Planet of the Apes. Baby fish mouth.
Baby fish mouth. They both have dates, but they're both jealous of each other.
Yeah, they're doing the game, and the word that she's trying to get them to say is baby talk, or the phrase.
Yeah.
And Jess is like, oh, that's not a popular phrase. And then Billy Crystal's like, oh, but baby fish mouth is sweeping the nation. Sweeping the nation.
It's sweeping the nation. They're both knocking each other's significant others, or at least the dates that they brought. Apparently, it's a gross joke now, but he's with a woman that is so much younger than him that his joke is, yeah, she's great. But I asked her where she was when Kennedy was shot, and she said, Ted Kennedy got shot?
Yeah.
It's a good Kennedy joke. Probably made Steve laugh. He loves presidents.
I did laugh.
We cut to Sally crying that Joe is getting married because, that's one of the things he didn't want from her. He didn't want to get married. He didn't want to start a family. And she doesn't want to be with him now, but it's upsetting that he didn't want that with her specifically. She's taking that personally. I'm going to be 40. And he goes, in 8 years? Yeah, but it's coming.
It's right there.
And then they do the friend kiss. They do a second friend kiss. And then they start kissing. And this, I think, is the danger of a friend kiss, Steve, because you could linger.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, where is the line between a friend kiss and a mustache ride, I ask you? They are too close together to risk.
It is they're very similar to each other.
What if you sneezed? A little tongue slips out.
Yeah, we've all done it.
We've all done it. And then they make love. Harry looks horrified. He looks like his whole life has changed. He's seen things. He's like, it's a Nam flashback.
He's like, I have either become God or I fought him. That's
exactly. We get the whole bit where she's being so cute. She's so happy. She goes for water. She tries to, do you want to watch a movie?
Sorry, when she got the water, I was laughing so hard because it was like Evian. The water you drink after having sex with your best friend, Evian. Like they put that logo,
the ad.
that logo out to the camera
and
perfectly.
New York water is famously really good, like the tap water.
Yeah.
So it was strange to me. Yeah, I guess it was just an Evian ad, but it made me think that like a lot of people just have bottles of water. And like this is before Brita. So
was this like when the bottled water craze first kicked off?
When did bottled water become popular?
I mean, that was just, I think that happened in the 90s.
Where people were just like, you got to have.
You know what's great? Bottled water. It's like regular water, but on the go.
There's a whole thing too. The alkaline level of water is important. You can't just like all water is not equal.
Right.
Health wise, which is kind of wild. Stressful to think about for me personally, as somebody who stresses a lot anyway.
Oh, okay. So it says the effective start date of modern American bottled water industry occurred in 1978.
Yeah, so it's about 10 years later. They were like at the height right now.
Yeah.
Everybody was already doing it.
Yeah.
Not just the hipsters, but he's getting dressed when she wakes up. And he's very cold to her. Like, I'd like to go to dinner later. And she could tell something's off. She feels very upset by that.
Well, he tells her earlier in the movie that because she's like, how do you just leave people? It's like, oh, you just make up thing. I got to go to work. I got to go do this. And that he's doing that to her right now.
I got a thing I got to do.
Yeah. She knows his tricks.
Also, earlier in that argument, I realized on this watch, she said, because he's like, you haven't slept anybody since Joe. And she says, I will when I really care about somebody, when I'm in love with them. That's when I'll do that.
Yeah. She did.
She did that. She was happy to make love because she really cares about him, right? So yeah, you're right. It was all set up. It's a great fucking script. That's what I've been trying to say this whole time. I was the first one to point out what a good script When Harry Met Sally is.
No one had said it before.
Harry and Sally each call Jess and Marie. So they have this like three-way call. Hilarious. Oh, it's Brian Gumble, which I haven't thought about the Gumbles in a hot minute.
Who has?
They go out to dinner together. They each talk about how it's a mistake. He wants her to say it first. And, she just says it to save face, right? She's very upset when he says, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I thought it was a mistake too.
She's very upset.
Should have done it.
And he's so clueless. He's eating a salad. Like, isn't it great when two people can just quietly sit together? Yeah.
He's eating the salad in a gross way. Just like.
Well, it's just because there's no noise, there's no quiet way to crunch into some leafy greens.
I had a great salad this week.
By the way, I thought he was being very, very, very polite about it. Eating like one leaf at a time. I don't know about you. I go in. All of the leaves that will fit in my mouth at once. You just keep stabbing the fork till the whole thing's fucking loaded up.
Yeah.
And then a cherry tomato.
It's giving Brachiosaurus when I eat salad. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the dinosaur.
Yeah. Thank you.
Didn't know if anybody knew.
Everybody walked the dinosaur.
It's a solid wedding song.
That plays at a lot of weddings for you?
I think so. And then my next note is, damn, he power walking like a motherfucker. Dude, I didn't know people. Yeah. I didn't know that was cool back then. I remember power walking, but he is just getting the hips involved, doing the whole thing. Basically, it's a montage of him just talking about her constantly and how he's not going to be talking about her anymore. She's no longer answering his calls or anything. And then there's Jess and Marie's wedding. Is where the climax kind of hits. They end up talking in the kitchen, which I thought was polite, not to ruin the wedding. They're arguing. He basically says she's a dog. And she slaps him because he's a terrible person. What he's saying is terrible. And then they both walk out at the lowest point of their relationship into being the subject of the wedding speech.
Yeah. If Mary and I had found either of them remotely attractive, we wouldn't be here today, which is kind of like a, okay.
We know.
But like in the context of being friends, that would kill.
Wedding speeches are always like obscenely rude to your friends kind of thing, you know? Like when Brad would give the best man speech at my wedding, he talked about how I left him in Texas. You know, it's a funny story about me being a piece of shit.
When I did a best man speech, it was all centered around the fact that the groom would ball tag people a lot. That was the and I knew they were right for each other because his now wife ball tagged him the first time we met them, and I was like, and I knew they were meant to be.
I got to be honest with you, Steve. I hate ball taggers.
Well, don't we all?
People that flick people's nuts unceremoniously and randomly are the worst.
Nut flickers are the worst for sure.
Yeah,
there's something more invasive about a flicking of the nuts rather than a punching of the nuts.
For sure. Yeah. But either way, stay off my nuts.
There's this funny story. So that friend, he's my buddy. I talked about him last week. His name's Grody. When Phil went to, when we went to college, Phil went to UC Claremont for like 2 years. And then they have a program where after 2 years, you transfer to NKU. Mm-hmm. And Mike and I were already at NKU.
Mike and I, too. Great candy.
Great candy. And we were already at NKU. So it's Phil's first day at NKU. We're walking, changing classes. It's really popular out in the quad. It's like the busiest it's ever been. And Mike just appears out of nowhere and goes, "Welcome to college, Phil," and just fucking decks him in the dick. And Phil just falls over in the middle of the quad on his first day of college. And then Mike disappeared into the crowd. Like he's fucking like, my God, that's Jason Bourne. Like he just fucking
Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne. Yeah, I would, no offense, never talk to him again. That's what I would do. I have a temper. You can't just hit my balls, you know?
Yeah, right.
I'll like throw a chair at you. I'm not saying it's cool or right, but that's what I'll do.
Direct eye contact with me when you said that, as if you were worried that now I'm primed to hit you in the dick now, and you're just laying down the law, sir.
You never would.
I will throw a chair at you.
I've never seen anyone kinder to dicks.
Thank you.
Than Steve.
I just want to see him.
That's true.
Let me see that dick.
You don't want to scare him away. So then it cuts back to another Christmas. This time, Sally without Harry helping her with the tree. This is the Dark Night of the Soul montage, right?
Yeah.
He tries to call her many times. He leaves a voicemail that's really charming to me. But the ABC thing, if it's either A or C, call me back.
Yeah. A, you're
not home.
You're not home. B, you don't want to talk to me. C, you desperately want to talk to me, but you're trapped under something heavy.
If it's either A or C, call me back. By the way, we've seen Rolodexes. Answering machines, folks.
Ooh, love those.
Wow.
Miss a good answering machine.
Wow.
Beep.
He calls her again, this time with the singing machine.
Yeah, he's singing Call Me by Petula Clark.
Mm-hmm. After saying he wouldn't, by the way.
Me.
He told the guys at the hot dog stand with Jess that he wouldn't call her anymore. And then he's on the karaoke machine calling her. But she answers. Sally does. And she's like, "What do you want?" She's not having it. No more getting sucked into his charm. He asks her to the New Year's party. We always go together. If we don't have dates, we go with each other. That's the thing. That's what we do. She says, "No, I'm not going to be your
consolation prize.
Sloppy seconds anymore." He's watching Dick Clark eating Malamars, world's greatest cookie, trying to convince himself he's not depressed.
Kiki, I'm eating too many Malamars. My tits are back.
Sally's with some guy at the party. She's dancing. He's walking the streets.
Is this the same guy that she was on a date with earlier?
It looked
like him, but it looks like
they just ran into each other at the party.
Oh, okay.
Briefly, because later that other guy's talking to her, telling her a terrible joke, and she's pretending to laugh.
Yeah.
He's walking the streets. Neither of them are having a good time without each other. She's fake laughing to the jokes. Then he remembers all of their years together in like this flashback montage and just starts running.
Yeah, because he ends up walking to the Washington Arch. Which is where she dropped him off when they first got to New York, and that it opened the I love that small touch. If he like ended up just there and was reminded, oh, I love this person.
And then one day, for no particular reason,
I just went running.
He makes it to the party. He tells her as she's leaving, "I love you," and she's angry. "No, you don't just could say that because you're lonely. It's bullshit. I hate you." And then he goes on this speech about all the things that most people would not like about her. This is the entire reason that he does love her. And she's like, it starts to work. She starts crying. They kiss.
I love that line where he says, like, when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with someone, you want to start your life as soon as possible.
Gave me chills.
Oh, I want to cry.
Gave me chills. You want to start the rest of your life as soon as possible. And then it cuts to them. They're married and they're basically the old people. They're in the chair. They're in the hot seat talking about how they met. And we got married 3 months later. And she's like, well, it took 12 years, you know.
And then she describes their cake, which was
basically the way she orders
things. It's
chocolate
so
on the
cute.
side of the coconut.
There's one thing he does before they cut to this where everyone's saying, Audlin saying the New Year song. And he's just like, what does this song mean?
Well, it's kind of thematic too, about old friends, you know.
Yeah. Anyways, it's about old friends. And I just love that little, like, he pours his heart out, that song's playing. Because that's how my brain operates.
But he can't help but be the smart ass.
This is exactly how my brain operates sometimes. Like, Eric and I will be out somewhere and we'll have like a very deep conversation and there's a song playing in the background and it's like, what does this song mean? Like what is this? I'm sorry, I'm distracted.
Yeah. It's a good way to be.
Yeah, and I do love that song. That song actually always makes me nostalgic and want to cry.
Old Lang Syne or whatever.
Yeah. I love it.
You know what I say when I hear it? Yeah, it's a good song.
It is. No way. A new year? Ugh. One more trip around the sun? No, thank you.
I'm over it. But anyway, thank you to Joey V. We hope that the mafia does not find you from this, but we hope you did enjoy.
Just make sure your windows are up if you're listening to the car. They'll spot you quicker if they hear. Let's
take them out with a big O. You know.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
We've got to go return some videotapes.
Yes.
My name is Kit,
and I'm Steve,
and this was Streaming Things.
Oh, yes.
Happy streaming.
Yes. Yes. Oh. Yes. 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 Oh. 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 Oh, God. Oh.
I'll have what she's having.